Hello, it is Lord Haywire. I am streaming some 2D4X like I do most weekends. I almost didn't stream today. I didn't really feel like it too much, but you know what? Fuck it, right? Just do it. Um, Also, every single goddamn thing I did to get set up had multiple extra steps today. That happens. What is this 2D4X thing I'm talking about? It is an open source, post-apocalyptic 2D 4X game. Um, yeah, I'm running it. The first time it runs, it always takes a little longer. I'm not sure why that is. Um, I'm going to post on YouTube a little test here. And just to make sure that it's actually coming across. Hey, Lord Mac, how's it going? And it is, and because Lord Mac posted, I know Twitch is working too, so great. So here we go. Here we got our little thing, some counties and stuff. Right now we're just doing Oregon and one little tiny bit of Washington, but it will take place in North America. I'm limiting it to that size because I think we're going to have about 500 of these counties, and I feel like that's going to be a lot of counties. I think Crusader Kings has 2,500. I'm glad you're here. Um, how's life? So let's see. So what we're doing today, though, I did look ahead of time because I couldn't remember what I did last week. Is we're gonna make currently like these things up here are used, and these little zeros are what we're gonna be affecting here today. They're used, but they're not keeping. We don't keep track of how many. Um, uh, of how many we used the day before, so it would be harder for the player to. They'd have to really keep track of how many resources they have in each county. So we're gonna keep track of this, and that is the plan here, is to keep track of this. And I already have some stuff like typed out of what we're doing, but it's not. It's not. There's nothing in here, and I think there's better ways to do things. But we do need to set this thing up first, and then come back to this other thing. That seems to be like the majority of. Oh, I already did it. Okay. Well, we need to have this run at the beginning. Um, Comp mod Hearts of Iron 4 multiplayer with you mean like a competitive one? Was it intense? That seems like that would be intense. Do they set it so you only can go to like slow it down to a certain speed? Because otherwise I would have it at the lowest speed or pause the whole time. Which is everyone would be like, would you do your shit and unpause it? Sherbert's good too. I haven't had Sherbert. You know what I haven't had in ages is flan. I used to love that shit. So we need to go to county generation here. And at the beginning of the generation of the game, we need to make a copy. It will just be 0 the first time, but if we don't do it, we'll get a null problem. So we got to do that first. So we wanted to do it after update resources, probably. Copy and assign resources. This already says copy in here, so we might as well do this. What are we doing exactly here? This is just for testing. Oh yeah, so this is where just giving them one resource. We're actually not going to start with one. That's not enough. Everyone will starve to death. We're going to probably start with some much larger, like 500 or something, so that when the player has time to get some buildings going, some choices that they can do. I don't like it when you start a game and you always have to like build a food building. You have no choice. You got to build a food building. And this assigns everything to the resource. So we could do it right here. And then this sets them. Let's do this. Are we in the county? No. Yes. So if we go county, whoops. Yep. Copy. What did I just call that thing? It literally was right here. Copy resources to yesterday. Where am I? My brain's still warming up. I was gonna play a video game. I was gonna play that BattleTech game, and Uh, it needed an update. Copy. What the hell is this? Oh, I'm in the wrong spot is the problem. County data dot copy. Oh my God. Uh, there we go. We did it. 47 times attempt there. Sets the host sets who are unpausable. 4 for peace, 3 for war, 2 for major war. Man, I couldn't do it. I feel like kind of like a co-op Hearts of Iron Modern would be fun. I think I've said this before. Uh, because you could actually influence, like it would be in, you know how like in the modern one, I mean you can do it in the base game too, but you can uh, like send your troops into places in Africa or whatever that are having these wars, and you can like influence them. It seems like the computer isn't very good at that, um, but it'd be interesting to do that with. Yeah. I assume you're going after each other, right? And so I think it would be, and you'd play like as in the modern one if you played as like a major power, like China, the U.S. and Russia or something, and then you tried to like influence instead of just going straight to war with each other and nuking each other. Um, so let's see. I think this is done. This is all we needed at this first step. And the reason like this is here is because I was curious of how this worked, and I think we want a deep copy. Yesterday's resources. So that should work. It's gonna happen right at the beginning, so that it'll just be 0. That's what we want is 0, and then we have to update. And this is all commented out because this is wrong. We have to do some math here. We have to take yesterday's resources and subtract them. So how are we doing? Oh, I just put this as yesterday's resources. That's the weird thing. Prize money. I always thought, this is years and years and years ago, this is probably 20, 30 years ago, that there would be more strategy game, like that would be the esport, was strategy game. I didn't think it would be like games like League of Legends, but those type of games didn't like really exist back then. But yeah, I thought there would be like all these tournaments with strategy games and stuff, but that didn't ever really happen to the point where it was like big news. You know what I mean? Like that, where there's like esports teams and things. I always thought um, that that was how it would go, but no. I think it's because there's less of a uh, like the strategy games I'm thinking of. There's less players. Yeah, like more classic. Not like StarCraft. StarCraft had a big thing, but those are like real time, like um, StarCraft 2, I guess. I even watched some. Sorry, I used to watch some cheese thing. Uh, okay, so what are we doing in here? What can we salvage from this code that I wrote? Very little. It doesn't look like I can salvage much of any of this, so I think I'm just gonna delete it. Sometimes I've noticed that if I'm trying to like use my old code, it just makes things more difficult. Like if I'm trying to adjust old code, it's better to write it from scratch. Um, yeah, I mean it wouldn't Hearts of Iron one where like you start out as, I don't know, um, Colombia or something, you'd be screwed. Um, okay, this song I think is on repeat or something. I know you guys can't hear it. Now it's just 8 minutes long. No, I'm gonna go to the next song here. All right, so we'll have the yesterday's data, and we will subtract. This is the part that I keep thinking about, and like, wait, do we subtract this? Do we add this? So if we have 10 from yesterday, and then we have today's, then we make a copy of it. So we have from yesterday, and we have today's, and we have 5. So if we would, that would give us a -5. So to get a -5, we need to subtract yesterday's from today's. Subtract yesterday's resources from today's. I still feel like I'm doing something wrong here. Then we make a copy. And when I say today, it's like in the morning. So it's actually like the day before. Let's do it and see what it has. So we're going to, and we're doing this at the faction level. Let's look at this. Is it at the faction level or at the county level? It's the faction level. That's what populates up here. You have food, you have building materials, you have remnants, and influence, and money. So we're going to do all of these things. These first two, money is not going to be affected. This will influence. So let's do influence first, just because it seems like it will be the easiest. Yesterday's stuff got consumed, so it has to be subtracted. Yes, at this point, I hope that's how this is gonna work, because I think it's the terminology. It's actually like the day befores, and then you're subtracting. But let's see if this works. Let's do it with influence. We know influence will go up, and this is faction level thing. So for influence, there's no multiple things. Influence is just its own thing. So we can just go, we can just take county data dot resources, all enums faction resource type dot influence, and then we actually need this to be yesterday. We need an int here. Yesterday's, no, influence equals, and then we're going to go amount minus, what's your problem here? We should have in, I believe, where's my resource data? We should have both of these things. Maybe we don't have, well, that was a weird spot. No, we do. Faction resource type. Faction resource type, all enums here. Faction, yes. Like I said, my programming brain's still catching up here. Yeah, it is a day late. I mean, I think that's the only, this is the only way I could think of to give some knowledge. And I was saying, I think I said this last time. If I didn't say it, I should have, because I was thinking about it. We're going to want to probably do like, you know, the last 10 days and then like, or last, let's say 14 days, and then like change it to weeks and just keep like a ton of data so we can like graph it and stuff, because I like looking at graphs in video games. So what is this thing complaining about? To county resource type. Oh, okay, so what it's complaining about is this list. This dictionary is by county resource type, which actually works for this, I think. I think we have influence in there. We don't. Because faction all right, so what are we copying? I gotta remember what I did here completely. County, this is under county data. Where's my county? I see this is unsaved, so let's save that. So influence is going to be a little weird. We're going to have 2 different things copy. This is on the county level. I think we have a faction data somewhere, because we're going to want to know the faction level resources too. Oh, here it is right here. So we'll put a copy yesterday's faction resources in here too. And I'm going to copy this other thing. I have, sometimes I don't do. Internal? What the fuck is that? Sometimes I don't do any programming all week, and then it's even worse. Like, let's rename this to copy county resources. And then we'll go back to here, and we'll go copy faction resources to yesterday. And then this is all bugged out because we don't have this shit set up. And I don't even think this is a list. Yeah, see, so we don't even have a list or dictionary. No, not from a program. It's not weird from a programming perspective. In fact, it's not really weird at all. It's just, it's not a county. It's not each county doesn't have money and influence. Each county has other resources, but money and influence is a faction level thing. So it's basically, it wouldn't work. So we're going to do two different things. We're going to we're going to save the faction level stuff, and we're going to save the county level stuff. Though money, I was just thinking might be better at a county level. But let's turn this into a dictionary, and we'll worry about that later. And I think I've said for a long time too that this is probably going to need to be a dictionary, and then I just didn't do it because it wasn't necessary at the time. Godot collections dictionary. This is going to be a dictionary of all enums, faction, resource type, comma. I think we're going to need. No, we just need resources in here. I was about to say resource data or whatever this is called. Resource data. And this will be called faction resources. And that's going to be these two guys. And I think we're going to need this up here too. And yeah, then we'll cut this, which is going to break a bunch of shit. More shit than I thought. What is this doing? This is doing an event that goes to what? Oh, it's just an event that the money changed and the influence changed, and then probably we have on the top bar it subscribes to that event or something. Yeah, there it is. Scrap changed, and then whenever that fires off, I think it's going to be. We talked about this a long time ago, and I like the idea you had with having the different currencies. I've been trying to figure out different currencies per faction. I've been trying to figure out how the economy works in real life. Just thinking about it and looking up an occasional thing because there's stuff that I don't understand. I understand the basics of stuff like inflation. I understand that the base how that works, but then why does it happen? And then why doesn't it how does a currency get different values against each other and stuff? So it's I'm gonna have to do a lot of research when I get to the money part. Right now money isn't used, so I don't have to worry about that. But soon, like I said, it's I understand the basics, but then how does it actually happen? And then how do you compare it? If you have two currencies that are fluctuating all the time, how do you compare them without having a base? So it will be an interesting thing to look at, and that's way off in the future. Right now, the money is going to just be it's not going to be a physical thing. They don't need to carry it around an actual gold that they're got on their back, but it's going to be something that each population will have too. But let's see here. I do know that part. So this is going to break these things because then it will be a dictionary. And I looked this up recently actually to see if there was any like signals built in or anything to Godot dictionaries. You know, I'll look again just for the hell of it. Godot dictionary signal when changed. Yeah, see here, this is from 2019 though. It's totally worthless. Past year. What is this person trying to do? I'm trying to send multiple variables to the same place, and I decided that use a dictionary with all values would be the best. Here's my code. Okay, what's your problem though? Um, your dictionary has no value, but you tried to access it. Okay. Um, hmm. It's not where I want to be. Um, so one of the ways around this is like you have a variable that's like this, and then it changes it here, but then like when you change the influence, it admits this thing, and then that updates the dictionary. That when we could do that, I could put this back, and we could do that. Uh, I think like pre-development banks there. Well, I mean that's how it is now. Money is only what we think it's worth. That's why it's confusing how they put an amount on it. Like if we all suddenly thought our money was worthless, it would be worthless. Um, but yeah, and so the other thing I wanted to do, money to reflect, is also like go. I do want it to reflect like physical objects, but it's not going to be something you carry around. The population's carrying around, like physically carrying around. Because I want them to scavenge money, and I don't want it to be like old dollar bills like that. That's be worthless. Um, so I guess we could. So like this influence, we could leave this here, and then what we would do is we in here we would update this value. Um, what am I doing here? This is influence amount equals value. So that we could do that. It's not like this actually isn't a bad, horrible thing. And let's just do it. And I'll put this in here, what I'm doing. I'll put a comment in here because I know that I'm going to forget. So let's see here. See, I'm even forgetting to put comments. This updates the dictionary so the numbers can be, except, look at this. What I've never actually had to mess with this. I think we'd want to return the value, this value. And I don't think we actually, do we even need this? This is some strange, I'm in unknown territory here. I'm going to just leave that. I'm going to fix these errors and then um, we'll run it. We'll just comment this out. I'm curious if this is going to work. I've never had to mess with that thing. It's something new every time I program. It's kind of fun. And you know, I definitely have fun programming or I wouldn't be doing this shit. You know what I mean? It'd be nice to get paid for it, but then I know that the minute, like, let's say I got a job doing this, I wouldn't like it anymore. It would suck. Having your boss cracking the whip on you. Okay, what's going on down here? Um, copy error. let's go to our get key. The given key was not present in the dictionary. Well, where are we at here? Faction data 48. That's something I like just messed with. Did I not save all this stuff that I just faction data 48? Okay, so this is the problem. This thing hasn't been added yet to the thing when this is getting adjusted. But this can be fixed because I was thinking we already made this thing. We haven't actually, we need this under faction generation. I don't know why I'm copying that, and I don't know why I did it that way. In faction generation, which could be open here, because I have a lot of shit going on. It's not it, I don't think. We need to create that list. Like I use an actual thing there. Get get factions from this is all we do. Create faction node, assign research. All right, so we'll create a new thing. When does this run? This just runs when this gets ready. Add factions to diplomacy. This is going to be our diplomacy grid at some point. Get factions from disk, create faction node, add starting research. We're going to do create resource faction resource dictionary. Come on, fingers. So I've been writing vehicle in this other game, and I'm always spelling it like that. I always start out. I don't know what the deal with my. I can't. I know it's that, but I always put the. I don't know what's going on. See, I don't even know how that's gonna work. I would like so at the beginning. I think that's pretty far off. Like even like I'll probably put in like a simpler version of currency where they all use everyone uses the same thing. But yeah, I would like to do it the way we talked about a long time. You suggested it. I can't remember the exact suggestion, but I was thinking about it afterwards, and I was like, it would be kind of cool to have. you know, you get to the point where you can start making your own currency, and then other factions might start using your currency, and then you have control of the currency, and blah blah blah. Okay, so for each, we need to have a list of some sort. Do we have a list up here? I have some list of resources up here. So these resources, though, are different than faction level resources. So what we're going to do, we only have 2 faction level resources. Well, I think. No, I guess we have all 3. And they're just going to be 0 at the beginning. That's not true, actually. I have some crap typed in here somewhere under faction. It's under our factions here. I've typed in, manually put in, like this influence, this money, this whatever. These ones say faction at the end. The Metro games. Yeah, ammo is always a good one. Especially, I love those games. Well, the first one specifically is really good. All right, so we're going to have these ones. And we're going to have this isn't going to work because, or I mean this dictionary amount thing. Let's go back to here. This is going to be See, what I mean this a dictionary is with resource data, but we don't have a resource data. It's just a number. So I guess for now, do we need? Let's look at our county resources. I bet you we do need a faction resource that has like a description and a name and shit. Let's just look at one of these. Canned goods, yeah. So we have like a description. We have the faction resource type. Is it perishable? So I guess we'll do this. I would probably should rename the resource data to or county resources. The problem with that though is I think it's going to implode all of these, and I'll have to recreate them. I mean, that's not the end of the world. There's only 5 of them, but I don't want them to implode. Let's go back to here. Let's go to my resource data. We'll save whatever this is. So the economy at the beginning is like a commie. It's not really though. It's just like, imagine if a bunch of survivors of the apocalypse were living together. There's one authoritarian leader, and then everyone else just kind of takes what they need, including the leader. And then that's going to be part of the thing, is you're going to be making decisions of how they get to use stuff as time goes by. And that's going to be part of the research tree, that because some of the research stuff you don't get to pick. It always happens. And that just gives you more options. Let's see. So if I go to resources, that's what I was doing. I see my resource data here. We were going to want to close this. No, we're going to want to do this first. County. It's not going to let me do it. It let me do it. Let's hope that that worked. Then we're going to close this because I've just broken things dramatically, very, very badly. Then we're going to go to resource data, and we're going to rename this. And then we're going to, fingers crossed, we're going to go look at this. There's a new build. Here's where things could go seriously wrong. Okay, this is a different issue. Yeah, that's a problem. We'll just get rid of that temporarily. Then we'll build this thing. Bone currency. Yeah, I think there was really a bone currency. There's a fun Larry Niven story called, it's a novel actually, called God, what is the name of that? See, this is what I was worried about, is this implosion here. This didn't actually implode. Let's clear this. What is the Joker? How's it going? What is the name of that story? Larry Niven. It's something magician. Magician. No. Bibliography. Oh, I've already been here before. It is called... no, it's not A Tale of Known Space. It is like a standalone book. The Flying Sorcerers is what it's called, and I think this is the cover of the book I have. No, I wish it was that cover. Look at that 70s sci-fi cover. Eating a sandwich, huh? So, anyways, the plot of that book, the reason I bring that up, the plot of that book is that there's like some alien world where these people live, and there's like a tribe of people. They aren't humans, they're something else, but they're bipeds. And then this like sorcerer lands. I put that in air quotes, and he's like studying the land, and um, the tribes people send their sorcerer in to deal with the other this new sorcerer that just lands in this like egg shaped thing, and they actually so they have bone currency in that I almost called it a game in that novel, and instead so they have like this face off, and I'm not going to spoil the whole thing, but and they decide to let this other one live there, this new guy that came down who is a human, came down in an egg, uh, live there, and they have this competing. So they have this bone currency, and they're like making bone currency, and they're like causing inflation, and it's like all into that shit. Well, no, he'd be very small if he was flying in a human egg. um, all right, what the fuck was I doing? Where? Where was the human? Did this blow up again? Okay, did I run this? No. Let's build this and see if this implodes. This is normal. Okay, so I guess that change wasn't as horrible as I thought. So then we're going to do a faction level resource here. No, that's not what I want. I want a new C script. And we're going to call this faction resource data. And not there, though. That's the wrong spot. And we've learned our lesson about moving these things around. That caused an implosion. And we're going to get rid of this crap. And we're going to turn this into a resource. And we're going to need export a string resource name. And then we're going to go export. Yeah. I guess I can just do name, right? And then we're going to do export all enums faction resource type. And then we're going to do export int amount of the resource. And I think that's all we need right now. Is a trophy and throwing a skull is a throwing weapon. You know, in one of my anthropology classes, the teacher actually had this giant pot that was used to carry resources in North America for trade. And the thing was so heavy. It was probably like 30 pounds. And so you would like carry it on your back and go places with it. And I was like, but if the thing's so heavy, what, like, do you empty it and then carry it back with you? And the theory, I guess, was that they also, like, you got the pot with the thing that was inside of it. Because you'd have to, because otherwise everyone would be carrying around these empty pots to like pick up things, you know, to get them from other places. We're gonna get rid of this crap. Intimate, isn't that a type of not spelled that way, but isn't that a type of sweets, baked goods? I used to get those when I was younger. All right, so we have this. We need to create this. There's always so much prep on everything I do. Like I go, oh, let's make this one quick change, and then like I have to add 37 things. And then we're going to do we're going to rename this folder. I have a feeling that when we rename this folder, this is going to jack stuff up, though. Let's see what happens. Nothing. Nothing happened. Whatever if we hit play? We can ignore these 15. We're going to fix those in a second. What's that? There's that thing, I think that like the Aztecs used, that death whistle. Wasn't that made out of human bone or something? All right, well, we just have those 15, so I guess that's fine. Then we're going to also add in another resource folder called faction resources. Plastic. Then we're going to add in, oh, I forgot a step. We want this to be a global class. A compiler global source. No, we want a global class. We'll get rid of that. And we'll build this thing. Plastic in our balls is what I was going to say. They found my microplastic and and trade it from our dead balls. They're basically finding microplastic and everything. All right, did I build that? I built it. All right, let's add in a new resource called faction resource data, and we're gonna call this influence with a capital I. Is that what I'm doing? It looks like it. Let's look at our county resources, which just happen to be, I am doing it that way. Then we're going to add in another one, and we're going to call it money. And then we're going to do another one. See, this is where it gets weird, is like building materials are like county resources are a subclass of building materials. Building materials. And then remnants are in both. So remnants are like, is a county level one. But I guess we need to have one here. It will be different but the same. Remnants. I don't think that's right. There's that. I can't remember what it's called right now, of course. Remnants. There's that question, there's the paradox or whatever of why aliens haven't visited, and one of the theories is that every alien race gets to a level of technology that destroys them. So like there's some level, there's some technology that we're gonna get to, and then we use it and it kills us all. It's just a theory, but it could be plastic. Maybe it was plastic the whole time. It just eventually kills you. And the final one, I think there's 5 of these, right? Money, influence, remnants, building materials. I feel alive. Sadly, I do occasionally wonder if I'm like in hell. Where would I find this list? It would be under all items. Food. Food is the one we're missing. This is going to be kind of a huge pain now that I've added this new dimension here. Food. Okay. Then let's go back to our thing that we have broken here that I commented out. So that's under faction generation. Wherever that shit is open. I don't think we need perk data open. Spawn tokens, we don't need that. Select token, we don't need that. Attribute data, we don't need that. Resource panel container, hopefully we won't need that. Storage, county improvement, county generation, population description control. Hopefully we don't need that. Faction data, we do need that because that's literally what we're working on this very second. This is going to be a faction resource. In this, I'm going to put this, well, no, that's just that one thing. Then is inaccessible due to protection level. That would be a problem. Let's go back to our new faction resource data, and these are all need to be public. They all need it. And there we go. Now this should go away. Get the fuck out of here. Okay. I was wondering why that was a capital M, and then my brain finally caught up, and it was like, yeah, that's supposed to be a capital M. All right. So now we have this collection. We have these getter setters that when you do influence from this thing, it will update this list. Once again, this value will be changed. We don't need these things anymore because they'll be changed in the list. This money, we could, I guess for our testing, we'll leave money there temporarily. I'll put a note on this so I don't forget. We need to add money or return money. Fuck it, we'll just do it right now. It's not that big of a deal. We need to return this. I guess we could just do. I was curious if I could click enough times I could get what I wanted, but it didn't work. We will return. Once again, I don't know if this is going to work, but I want it. If it does work, I will be quite happy. Money. It's like 1,000,000 degrees here today. How about you guys? Is it 150,000 degrees Celsius? Money. Let's get rid of this. Didn't I already get rid of it? No. Let's get rid of this so I can make sure that I see the bugs. Money equals value. We return that. We want this to go to here. I have a feeling this is not going to work. It just seems like if this is how we're doing this, it seems too easy. Okay, so we have these. If this does work, we probably should put in a getter setter for the other three. So back to faction generation. We now want to create this dictionary. And for each see, I think what's going to happen is this is going to fire off too quickly. We might not be able to edit this in the editor where I was typing in the amounts that they had. Because I think what's going to happen is if we type that amount in, it's going to go before this is created. For each all enums faction resource type. Can we just, oh my god, resource type in we want it to be checking this thing. I don't think I can do that though. Because it's not a list. It's not, I've done this before. I remember I was like, how do you go through, I'm going to go to Chat GPT here. I want to do all of the in C#, how do I do a for each loop over and enum. Hopefully it get values method. They always do days of the week. It's always days of the week. So this is what we need. We need this actually, just this. And we want to do, you know what, that doesn't actually matter. Let's go back to this. It does matter, but we're going to rename this to all county. We're going to need this other thing anyways, because otherwise we're going to have to read it from disk, and you know how much I despise reading shit from disk. All faction. What? Okay, I need a node, none of that. All faction resources. And then we're going to put this up here. We're going to add a script to. You know, I had this weird issue yesterday where the scripts weren't appearing on here after I added them. And I would have to restart Godot to get it to appear. Also, I noticed that this has suddenly started up, like, is doing this better. This is going to be just a script. Just a good old plain script here. We're going to get rid of this. We're going to get rid of this. We're going to get rid of this. We're going to have a public all faction instance. And then we're going to go public faction resource data array called faction resource datas. Sure. And then we'll go like new. Do we? I don't think we need a new one because it's gonna be something. We need this out here though. Out here meaning over here. And then we need instance equals this, and there we go. And then I think this is back where we're at. It is. Then we're gonna go for each faction resource instance. Nope. Dot. That's what I want. Nope. Dot instance. Dot instance. Faction resource datas. Resource datas. What's your problem with this? Did I typo instance? Instance. Public. Faction. Static. There we go. Give me. Give it to me. All faction resources. Sometimes it takes a second. All faction resources. Public, static, all instance. Like I said, my brain hasn't worked. Oh, it's because we don't have a namespace here. I find the namespace thing to be very tedious. There's probably some major thing that I'm missing. I use it actually in this game for another part, so the map editor has a map editor space, so they don't get confused. But it's still, I find it tedious. For each does not exist. Did I typo this? Instance. Public static. I'm missing something basic and my brain isn't up to it today. Global suppressions, we can close that. Faction generation. Instance. Do we have the player space? We have, maybe it's just mad because I'm doing this thing. Why can I not write It's because I don't. Oh my god, I'm doing this completely wrong. Doing this backwards twice. Twice. Faction resource data is in this thing goes over here. Jesus Christ. Do you see that? Once again, kind of glad I don't do this for a living because then my boss would fire me. He'd be like, "What are you doing? You've been sitting on this same thing for 55 minutes." Okay, so it's going to go through every one of those, and then for each one of those, we're going to add it to our faction datas. We're going to have to pass in a faction data up here. Faction data. And then I'm going to double check something that I didn't. Okay. I was just thinking maybe we can put this in a different spot. So we create the node, and this is where the faction data gets assigned. No, I guess we will put it here. No, we can't put it here. We need this to go down to here. And then we'll pass in faction data. Faction data. And then I'm like going in circles here. So it's going to go through each one of these, and then for each one of these, it's going to go faction data, faction resource. Wait, we need faction data. Good God, faction resource. Faction resources. Add. Then we need like this faction resource data resource type. And then we're going to need that. Holy shit. That was an effort to do the most simple programming task. Faction resource data. So it's going to go through, it's going to find each one of these on this list that we have over here. Hopefully I can build this. Add them to the dictionary that is inside of the thing. We need to put some names on these things, building materials. And that is a resource type. You know, we don't really need the resource type if it's in this dictionary. I'll leave it here, but I don't think, I'm going to put a note in there because I don't think we need the resource type because it's the dictionary will already know what it is. Oh shit, I was supposed to update the globalization while I did this. And I just thought of something else. We're not adding that. We're adding a duplicate of this. I think we got to do something. I can't just stick a straight duplicate in here. I got to do something else. I did this another time and I forget what the trick was. I think it was, I mean, in fact, I've done this a bunch of times. I probably did it right in the county generation. I'm gonna take a break in a second. Hopefully my brain will start to, oh, that's what I need. I need, what this is, which is a faction resource data. There we go. So it's going to duplicate that. We don't want the actual ones. I want a copy of it in there. Um, so that should, so like, this is what I was talking about. We already know the resource type by here, but I guess it's probably important to have it elsewhere. Did I even update that shit? I didn't. I just went, um, money needs to be money. Influence needs to be influence. The problem is with all of this stuff like this is if I, um, oh, you know what I can do? So the problem is if I add a new resource, I have to go through and adjust all this shit, and every time the enum throws off all of these, and it just dawned on me. You know what I can do though is I can do this. We have a duplicate. We can go. We can do this first. Um, faction faction resource data, and we actually don't have an S on the end, so we can do that too. We're gonna go new. I don't think we want a new one. We do not want a new one. We want this. Oh, we won't know that. All right, who cares? This is fine. How we have it is fine. We'll manually do it and shit will break later. But I'm going to go take a quick break and I will be back in less than 5 minutes. Let me stop my music that you guys can't hear and let me put up my break timer and I will be back soon. All right. I am back. Let me turn on my break or turn off my break timer. Let me come back to here. Turn on my music that you guys can't hear. Let me stumble through this crap. All right, so all the factions will have been added at this point, or the faction resources will have been added at this point. Let's run it and see. Well, I think we're going to have an issue with the money that I typed, like the amounts I typed in, because they're going to set ahead of time. Yes. Oh. We don't have the key still, but what was this last one? Yeah, so see, this is firing off a thing and it's trying to update it ahead of time before shit's happening. And that's so this dictionary isn't even built yet and it's firing off. I'm just going to make sure this is different. Looks identical. So we need to go to faction data 46. So what we're going to have to do, because this is all because I typed that in there. And also, I mean, it's the value, because it's firing this, and it's like, this doesn't exist yet. Oh, you know, we're duplicating those ones out of the, oh, well, I didn't, there's another problem too here. I didn't make this, this thing hasn't been made yet. There's 5 of them. Yeah, see, there's like 3 steps to whenever I add in a new thing. These ones shouldn't change that much, but the other ones should. A new resource. And that's kind of a problem because then, you know, when I add a new resource, I got to remember all 3 steps and I never can. I should probably document it somewhere like, hey, you got to put this shit in someplace. Oh, nice. Now we got 24 issues. They're growing. Let's copy this top one. Make sure it's the same thing. 46. So once again, it is doing this. It's invoking this thing because some of these faction resources. So when the factions are all being added in here, and like this one, you know, we have a 10,000 influence that's starting, so that's causing an issue probably as well. 46 though is this one. This updates the dictionary so the numbers can be used. But this doesn't exist is basically what's happening. This doesn't exist yet. It's trying to exist, but it's not happening fast enough. It happens in a certain order. Where is this getting? Maybe we can scooch the other thing forward. I think the minute that we might have to put, but I wonder because it's, how many times does this happen? Okay, they're all the same. So it's 24 times, so we have 5. Well, that number doesn't add up. We have 7 counties. No, we don't have 7 factions, though. We have 4 factions times 5 things should be 20, not 24. So it's probably when it, let's see here. That theory is busted. Because we can put these numbers in later. We could have them in the code, like, hey, put this in, and then we would edit in the code. It would ruin the point of having these things as resources. So let's go back and think how this goes. The faction, I'm just gonna make sure that the order is the way I want it to go in. Um, did I not stick this somewhere? Create faction resource dictionary. Here it is. So it creates the node. See, this is the problem. Is this thing happens. We get a new faction data. Um, and then we put the faction name as the node name. Where is this new faction data being passed in from? Right here. And this is loading it. We're loading this from disk. Which once again, I don't like doing that anymore because when you export it causes issues. Um, and then we have a list of faction data somewhere. We should probably get rid of this. We should probably get rid of this. We already have it in the faction node children. Um, then we're giving it a faction ID, which I don't think we're actually using. So it goes through the disk, it adds their starting research, it creates a node. Oh, we're doing, this whole thing it seems like it needs a rewrite. Create faction node. Add starting research to the faction data. Then are we going through that list? Is that what the fuck we're doing here? No? We might need to rewrite this, which is fine. This is pretty ancient code. Get factions from disk. Let's put this at the top and take a look at let's put this in order basically, and then we'll go through how this works. So on ready, it's going to go through the everything on disk and it adds them to this list. I wonder why we're doing it. I think probably see, like research is above this, all perks, attributes. This is almost like an opposite order. And it kind of makes sense to do the smallest to the largest. Generally, I do the largest to the smallest. Though, but see like how it's attributes, that's like the smallest part of a human to their perks well then we go to research, it's weird. This is just like a list of all of my arrays. I guess this doesn't actually matter. This list doesn't, because it's just loading these first. So let's close that. That doesn't matter really. Fine. So we are doing it: faction generation, county population generation. I think we should just kind of rewrite this. This might be. And I guess I'll leave this here, this part, even though it's also not really how I want to do it anymore. So anyways, it's going to go through everything in this file. It adds the starting research. It's so weird that that's above this thing. let's actually do this. It's not going to be different. What did I call this? Get factions from disk. We'll call this. I mean, I guess that's fine. Then for each of, or for this, it's going to go down the number of files here. I was thinking about putting these in another method, basically, so this is less ugly. Add starting research is next. Meat pies. I don't think I've had I've had a chicken pot pie somewhat recently in the past couple of years. But besides, is that what you mean? Or I haven't had like a. Those, I feel like those are rare in the United States. Have you ever seen that movie? I think it's called Titus. it's uh, based on some Shakespearean thing as Anthony Hopkins. They cut into like a meat pie in that, and it's like a blood pie, I think, though. And it's quite gross looking. Yeah, that's not like that's pretty rare in the United States. I think there's a pub that sells shepherd's pie, and that actually sounds kind of good right now because I think there's potatoes in there, and um, I love potatoes. So this is bizarre. I like it makes sense. So we go to each faction, create faction node, in the faction create. What we could do though is this shouldn't be here. We'll cut this, and we would put this right here, so that it's more, so that this is less confusing. But it's still not going to be fast enough. So that's going to be this problem is going to be kind of a pain in the ass to fix. What we're going to have to do, I'm trying to think of it, how we're going to do this. So the whole problem isn't that these numbers are here. I keep saying it's because these numbers are here, but it's actually, it's going to happen regardless because these are all here. So we kind of need like a don't update on the first run. I wonder. This has happened a bunch of times to me, and I should feel like I should know a workaround at this point. Goat meat. Did you get a goat meat one? A goat meat pie? In C#, is there a way to not have a getter setter run the first time it is changed? Like I was hoping there's like, yeah, you just put this little yes in some place. But it's going to say, like, no, you're going to have this variable that's... Yeah, see, here it is. I mean, I guess that's not the end of the world. Look at, he's putting this lamb little in there. Mutton. Man, when I was very young, I don't know how old, my aunt had goats, and she would squirt the goat milk directly into our mouths, and it just the thought of that is so gross to me now. I'm not a big fan of goat or of milk. Uh, I don't think I think they were for cheese, though. Yeah, like you were talking about with like for goat cheese. I mean, obviously they had a lot of milk, or she wouldn't be squirting it. Like we could stand like 5 feet away and. Uh, I wonder why I put this and as its add factions. Oh yeah, well, it's not pasteurized, so you'll probably croak from it eventually. Pasteurization is really important for milk, I think. Um, there's so many things. Um, I'm sure it's fine to drink it occasionally. Like there's obviously humans drank tons of milk before pasteurization, so it doesn't kill you. Like, you know, why did I do this like this too? There's all these weird things when I look at my old code. I'm like, what? All right, this is what we're gonna do. Is we're gonna get rid of this thing, and we're gonna say we need a faction data in here, and we'll go faction data. There's probably some really important reason why I did it this way, but it seems like this is not what we want. And then we'll go like this, and we'll go like this, and then we'll go up here, and we'll go put this at the end, and we'll do new faction data, because we're already going through everything. Like, we're already doing that here, so we might as well just put it in here. And then we'll rename this to get factions from disk, and we'll just call it create factions from disk. We'll just say create factions from disk, and this has Atom. It creates the nodes. It creates the resource dictionary, and then that will make this a little bit prettier. Yeah, I think that's a little bit better. It's still bizarre. Is that what it is? Is the animals sick, and you're drinking the sick milk? We're still gonna get a bazillion errors. I just wanted to make sure we didn't get a bazillion then plus more errors here. Okay, so that part seems to be working. We haven't gotten more errors. So this is like a little bit cleaned up. I still probably should change this, but I just don't feel like doing it right now. So we are going to go back to the faction data here, and we're going to say, hey, the problem with making it skip the first time. Let's see if it works first. We'll put a thing right here that is like private bool skip first run equals true, and then we'll say if skip first run is equal to true, do this. Is equal to true, we can just return out of here, I think. No, we can't. If skip first run is equal to true, is not equal to true, then do this stuff. Then at the end, skip first run equals false. Yeah, there's that, whoops. There's that CK3 game that is cattle, or mod, not game, mod that uses cattle as currency. I think that was a big thing. In fact, I watched a Splattercat video this morning, and that cattle was like kind of half a currency. You know, it's a food, a currency. And I kind of like that because if your people get starving, you eat all your food. Um, yeah, so I think that fixed half of it. But the problem is that we're gonna need to put these numbers in a different place then, which is kind of suck. Which is kind of suck. And this is in the set area. Yeah, well, we'll fix it, and then we'll fix it, and then we'll fix it. Um, and we're just gonna see if we can get rid of all those bugs there. Yeah, so you know, like Caves of Cud uses water too as a currency. Oh, that didn't help us any. Let's look at this. If it's the same place. 43. 43 is this get. What happens if we move this out more? Oh my god, what have I done? I don't think I can put that in here. It's got to be inside one of these things. Man, I was so like thinking this would be great. It does have shellfish on the coast, but it's not. I don't think very many people eat the type of shellfish that are. Well, they're mussels, yeah. I don't think people collect those for food here. I think they bring them from somewhere else. Yeah, see, so this is a huge pain in the ass to do it this way. But we really need this getter setter to work. So let's think about this some more. What is your problem now? Okay. I'm like just spinning my wheels here. Maybe people eat those. There uses fishing bait a lot too. When I used to fish a lot, that was you just pull them off the rocks, smash them open, and hook them connect to a hook and cast out, and the fish love that shit. Though I have seen people eat them in restaurants here. I don't know where they come from actually. Like if they're getting them, from the coast here, if they're bringing them from somewhere else. I actually never really thought about that. You know, I used to fish all over, like any fishing that I would. This is when I was like up until like 16 or something. I would take up any type of fishing that I possibly could. If someone was like, "There's a hole in the ground, there's a puddle over there," I would be bringing my fishing pole. But deep sea fishing is probably what I like the most. But it's really expensive. So, yes, definitely spinning my wheels today. All I'm doing is going farther and farther back. Look at all these things we've changed. Jesus Christ. I'm curious if I do change one of these, if this has any effect. I don't think it will. I think it's setting these zeros. I think it's setting these zeros like it needs to set them regardless. Well, that one has 16. We can just change this back to 50 or whatever. Because we're getting a bug when I'm changing things in the inspector. Oh, not harpoon fishing. No, like fishing with a fishing rod. Deep sea meaning like on a boat out there, not like underwater. No, so this doesn't have an effect. I think it's because they're being set to 0 there, in the getter setter when they're actually, let's put this back to 10,000 since we have determined that does nothing. I mean, it's going to happen regardless of the number that's in there. So I guess I can't use a getter setter is what I'm finding here. Well, let's look at this one more time here. Maybe there's another way around this. Why would it be getting it? At 43. At what point is it getting it? Maybe I'm thinking this is a different error than I think. The given key was not present in the dictionary. Get influence. Can I? Wait, can I do this? Get over here. I've never done this way either. See, it won't let me put an if in here. Not all return a value. Return 0. How about that? I'm just going to see what this does if we get less errors. Fly fishing, I was friends with see, that didn't even do anything. With one of my coworkers, and we were talking about fishing, and she's like, "Man, I love fly fishing." And I was like, "Why? That seems so boring." And she's like, "I only have one arm." She only had one arm, and she's like, "That's all she could do." I'm still embarrassed about it. Why didn't that do anything? Can I return null? No, it's an int. Let's return -1 just for the fuck of it. I mean, we do need to do this if we're going to do that. Except, man, why would this thing be getting it, though? I don't, does a getter setter get when it is initialized? Maybe my dictionary is fucking jacked up, and I'm doing the problem isn't this, it's my dictionary creation here. Let's double check that these things are in here. My arrays, faction resources. There's 5 of them. We're going to go back to create resources. We're going to go for every faction resource data in the faction resource datas. We're going to add faction resource data's resource type, and we're going to duplicate the faction resource data, and we're going to add it to the faction data of faction resources. Faction data faction resources. That seems correct. Do you like fishing? Um, that goes for everybody in chat. If there's more people there, never tried it, huh? Uh, it is definitely a lot of sitting around. I think for a lot of people, it is the sitting around that is the. I mean, that looks right to me. It doesn't mean that it is right. All faction resource types, faction resources. We're adding it. We have, I guess I could put some things in here. We could do this. GD prints dollar sign. Whoops. Squigs faction resource data dot name has has been added to squigs faction data faction name. And then let's run this, and I guess I just gotta figure out how to do this. Yeah, I know a lot of people like to go with like other, with like friends and stuff, and they all, you sit around and you chat quietly. Um, faction. What did I just fucking type right here? Has been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so this is happening. It's getting added. I guess we'll just got to go through this and figure out. I was trying to not do this, but so when it's getting added, we know it gets past this. Let's go back to our faction data and let's put. I don't think this is doing anything, so let's get it out of here. Like, just let's get this extra shit out of here. But let's put a GD print. Influence, because maybe it's something that I'm not thinking about. Influence is getting getting get influence, and then I'm gonna put in this thing which should bust it. It should break it, but I just want to see. Just want to double check here. I spent a lot of time when I was a kid alone, wandering around in the bushes, like I mentioned before. Get influence 0, and then it's wait, get influence 0. Yeah, that only happened once. It seems like it shouldn't get past that at all. So maybe something else is. I wonder if we're getting this from somewhere that I don't know of. I mean, this is happening. Update expendables. We are doing this here. Let's comment this out. Now I want this to be that. So it's weird that this, because it got the right amount. It died after the first one, but I think maybe that's something else going on. Hmm. Making sure there was nothing. Oh, look, that time it didn't get to there at all. Because it never got it. It skipped it, I bet you. And then it croaked out on a different spot. Um, maybe it did. Same number of bugs, but then it got to this one, to this set. Which we do have this skip first run. Oh, but the problem with this is that oh my god, what a pain in my ass. The problem with okay, this is too much of a pain in the ass. So what would happen is we would have to have a bool for each one of these things, because it's going to the first, it's going through the influence turns it false, then it gets to here and it's like, nope, give it, and it, yeah, so this is going to be a huge pain in the ass. So instead of using getter setters, we can just call a thing on the top bar control. Um, all that for, I really wanted to use the getter setters because they would really make life better if that number changed. We could just fire off an event or whatever, an event or a thing that would update. But the problem is it's trying to get these things too early. So if we get rid of the getter setters for all of them, and then we just build some other thing that runs. I like to automate things where I can, and this really would have been nice. But I think I'm doing with the county resources, I'm actually doing, I think it's in the top. I think I'm just calling this, and I think I went through the same thing, actually. Yeah, so this is what I'm calling every time. So I gotta manually put that in. Man, it would really be nice if it was just automated when a county thing. Let's look at one last time before I go to the way I did it before. I could have a bool that's different for each one. Can I put like a bool up here? Will it let me do this? Doesn't look like it. Can I put a bool here? I can. Well, how did this little thing do it? This little thing. Uh, it does though. I think it must be a Godot thing. Maybe because it's exported. When it's exported, maybe that's the whole point, is that the problem with this is that it's exported. Because it's in the thing. And when it gets exported to that's probably what it is, because it has to get exported to, you got to be able to see it in the inspector. So look at that, it changed it to 8. It's the export that's been fucking me all this time. Because it needs to get it for the inspector. I wonder if I can say, if the inspector's doing this, I'm going to do a new one of these. In Godot C sharp, can I do something like if the inspector is accessing this variable, then ignore the next thing. OBS, this morning I had issues with everything setting up, and it had nothing to do with like the programs, it just everything was a problem. You probably know the answer to this question, Joker. No. No. Can you make it? Did I not say Godot? No, I did. Is there a way for the to say like if the inspector's accessing this, that is, then don't do something? Because there is that. I do have that one editor thing. This thing. What does this do? No, that's not going to help me. Your tutorials are pretty reliably put out. You got some dedication to the thing there, the craft. Yeah. What is this thing? Use create empty. Huh. How did your monitor get smashed? All right, so I don't think there's a way to do that, but that's what the issue is. So that is where this Git is coming from. So at least I guess I figured that part out with this completely unproductive day so far. I just can't. So I guess if I turn off export, then I can't type them in there. That's the whole point of having that shit in there. So I can type it into the inspector. I can just be like, oh, hey, here's some money. There was some stands I got for work that I couldn't believe. They were very expensive monitors, like 200, I guess 200 bucks isn't that expensive. But the stands that they came with were the biggest pieces of shit. And I was just in luck that they were like these little tripods that the slightest touch, it'd be like, but luckily the person who wanted them wanted it on like a monitor stand that's bolted to your desk. So that's so that you have to buy more monitors, I guess. So I wonder if I'm just going to put this up here. Just double check that this really is the issue. These ones also have getter setters, but I haven't messed with them. Yeah, that's kind of how the tripod thing I was talking about. They were like the front. Yeah, see, we're getting less bugs every time I do that. $73. Oh, this is the first run thing though. And we are setting that to 0. It's getting it and setting it to 0. So we could go through every one of these and not have them in the inspector and have it skip the first run, or we can go back to that other way and then we just access the dictionary. How am I doing? The county resources are being put in manually with that one that I said is just for testing. It's just kind of a bummer to not be able to just type this shit in here. Maybe I will go have a smoke. It's a little early for that though. Maybe I'll do it anyways. And I'll get, it'll cause some sort of epiphany slash inspiration that will happen, and I'll like, um, come back and be like, I know what to do. You just have to add an int to this thing. No. I mean, you could use an int actually. You could have it counting. There's the 5 things. Um, hmm. And but I'm gonna go take a quick break, an early quick break. And well, it's less than 5 minutes, and then I will be back here. All right, I guess we're gonna do it without the getter setter, and without it won't be in the inspector. Which means the downside to that is that we can't type this stuff in here and have them different. Um, we could do it later on. Um, We could do it later on and have it like in the code where we have like, hey, if you're faction 0, faction whatever, player factions get more or less money. Man, this would have been so awesome if this worked. Or we could put a bool in every one of these and not have it exported. No, it's like defeats the whole purpose. So if that's the case, what we would do is we would get rid of a bunch of stuff here. Let's start with the influence and see how much chaos this causes. We would get rid of that. And so this would be, this chaos is going to happen regardless though. All enums, faction, resource, influence. And then we need a little thing here. And then we need amount. What's going on? Faction data dot faction resource. Do I have this private or something? It's public. Faction resources. Where was this bug? Faction resources. There we go. And we'll put this down here. Yeah, I guess it's gonna be such a bummer that this will all have to be like in the code, but whatever. We gotta make it work, right? I should copy wherever that was. Well, what are we doing here? Charge for a hero. This is wrong. Where are we doing this? We need to pass in a faction data. See, this is the problem with looking at old code, and that should cause another error to happen. Faction resources. I guess we just got to fix everything. You know, it just got to get fixed as I go along. Dot influence. This is going to be amount. And then we'll do this plus minus down here so we can see this. We should get a bug, and I guess we'll fix these warnings too, because that's just annoying me. Check for building costs. We're returning the faction data, faction resources. Nope. All enums, faction resource type dot influence amount. I need a dot here though. And there we go there. And I guess we'll just copy this whole thing here. And we'll put this down. Actually, we can copy this whole thing here. And we'll put this down here. And we'll put this actually down here. And we'll put this down here. I watched somebody's tutorial the other day, and he had this so small, this percentage over here. And I was just like, to my screen, like trying to read the stuff on his video, and I wanted to say like just make it a little bigger, man. But I did not. I didn't say anything. It says that this should be create empty, and we'll go to the next one, and we just hope that this is right, because this is a whole different different ball game. Look at all these messages I have here too, and we're just getting started with this problem. All right, so this is we're no longer going to be able to see in the faction data Um, charge for hero. So here's the part that I just changed where we needed to pass in. In this particular case, it's just the globals. So the reason why this was wrong was because we're going to have the AI use this charge for heroes thing, and it was set to hard coded for the player to do it. So that's why I wanted to change that right there. It was just like, why did I not? I can just pass it, and then the AI can use this charge for heroes for when they hire people. Um, back to this. We'll just go through these things. These 4 should still be here. Well, we got rid of 1. Um, but let's go through. I guess let's just do them all. Let's just cause the chaos. Let's get this export out of here. Let's get money is gonna go. Remnant faction go. Building materials go. We're not gonna need. We don't need this. We don't need this. We kind of went through a similar thing with whatchamacallit. We're gonna actually need another one of these while we're here, and we're gonna call this yesterday's faction resources, and we're going to go to here, and we're going to call this yesterday's faction. Probably should be faction resources yesterday's or whatever. But there we go. And that's things fixed. Now we just have 10 errors to fix here. Yeah, why is this set to 0? This is crazy. Update top bar with county resources. Let's get rid of that and just see what happens. There's probably, and I think I thought of why that was like that, but I don't like it. We'll just deal with the consequences. So what the fuck are we doing here? We're counting faction. Count faction resources. So this is going to be used for the top bar. And we're just going to go through and we're going to count. Yeah, so this part we're going to actually use, I don't know about today, but maybe tomorrow. Let's put at the top here, because this is just for calculating the top bar. But I bet you we're going to need to have, I bet you we're going to need this at a faction level too. So what are we passing in here? County resource type resources. So we have the county resource. We can do this here. We can do faction data. Yes, that was well typed. Faction data equals this thing. And then we can go, we know what we can do here. What are we doing with this resource? This is a county. Okay, so we're just adding these all on. What we could do is do faction resources here and make this a faction resource. This is going to be a dictionary? I guess no, we'll just go back out of laziness. And then here, we're going to go faction data. I just wanted that to be a little bit smaller. And we're no longer, we're going to go all enums here. We're back to this thing. And we're going to go get rid of this crap. And this needs to be faction resources. And then we'll put this down here so it's easier to read. We'll copy this thing. And we'll copy that thing. We'll say remnants. And we'll say building materials. We'll put these down here so it's easier to read at this size. And then this is going to be faction data. All right, so then we're going to, if it's food, because this is the faction, yeah, so it adds in this resource, which is the key value pair. This is the county. Let's rename this to the county resource since we have the two different things, and it's getting a little bit confusing. So if the county resource is of this faction type, it adds it in there. Let's go back to what we got here. This is updating these things at the top, which we do want this here. And I guess we'll put this up here. But what we want, so this is always just going to be the player faction. It doesn't matter because this is the, but we can do this same thing so we don't have such long, long things, lines of shit. I guess we can just cut that and then go like this. And we're probably going to have broken a bunch of stuff, but yeah, this isn't right. This is going to be faction resources. Yep. Auto, I guess we already had part of this. Amount. Forgot the period again. And then we're going to copy all of this. We're just going to get this shit out of here. Get this shit out of here. We're going to put these all. I thought it was going to fill in what I was pasting in there. It is not going to do that. And then we're going to do this. And then we're going to go back up. Get that shit out of here. This is going to be, what are we doing here? Money. And then this one is going to be food. And then this one's going to be remnants. And this one's going to be building material. And materials there. All right, so now this should update correctly. Currently, let's see what massive issues we've just caused. So, because I think we should be having a lot of issues. Yeah. We just haven't gotten to them yet. I got something. Battle location influence is greater than. So look at this thing. So this is in diplomacy. We are buying things. I wonder why the banker wasn't. Did we just have like some? Huh. But we'll worry about that later. This is going to be faction resources, influence, I think that was. Yep. And then we're going to have to go add amount over here, but now this is too long. Dot amount. Okay, what was that other? We had another one of these. This is a player faction one. And I guess we'll just do this here. That's what we want. We got an extra one of these. And we'll put this down here. Things are like a little slow today on my computer and I can feel it. This was some weird thing. Yeah, this was some weird thing I was trying like a long time ago, so that you could edit the things in the disk, and it didn't work. And I looked at it recently. That's why that's open. Okay, back to our build. It's still doing something. And I hit play because I was impatient, and that was a problem. And what do we got? We got 0 bugs, but we're probably, this thing is not working right. Well, everyone has 0 at this point. Let's look at the, yeah, see, so all these are gone. So we're going to need to add some stuff in faction generation so that we do have some testing here. So when we are adding, so we're creating this dictionary. Let's add in, I think such a long line of stuff. We'll go, this is for testing. We'll go faction data for each. What is it? Key value pair or something. Value pair. Well, I can't never remember this. Where have I done this before? I've done this all over the place. In fact, I think the banker we were just looking at one where we were counting stuff. There's a lot of counting that goes on in programming. Did I just scroll past one? For each, I don't even remember what I'm counting at this point. That was under faction generation. I want to just go through each thing in there. I think this will actually be close enough to what I want. And we're just going to add. So if we go for each count faction resource data in faction data, faction resources, and then we go resource data dot value, no, amount plus equal 500. I think this should now give us 500 of these, but I don't think we're updating the top bar anymore. I'm 99% positive the top bar is now going to be now going to be wrong. 80 freedom degrees in your room? Oh my God. Okay, so for some reason this did update, but it has the wrong amounts. It's adding 2 to money, 1 to here. So it's adding the resource to the faction resources. I mean, we could just put equals 500, but that's still, there's still something going on wrong there. You need an air conditioner. You probably don't. You probably don't have. It seems like Canada would have very few air conditioners. Or Portland was, when I first moved up here, I was shocked how few air conditioners there were. Every place was just this, when it, in summer, just became this, every apartment I had, this like horrible waste of death. So let's look at this GD print here, because I think we have something wrong. But look, it's saying food has been added, influence, money, remnants. And building materials. All three of those have been added, but it's, why is it going? And then for each one, because this is in the wrong spot. We want it once this for each is done. It would do that. A neck fan? I don't know what a neck fan is. This should be 500 now. Yes, and we actually don't even need this to be a plus equals. We can just do equals. All right, so now everyone has 500 of each things. This is going to be kind of a pain, though, like I said, because we'll have to have different, whatever. We're going to have a different way of, I'll put this in here. We are going to have a different, more random way of generating, starting resources for each faction. And then we will copy this, and we're going to go to my thing here. I got a faction thing in here somewhere. Factions, where are you? I hope we have a faction thing in here. Factions. Oh. Huh. We have something that's kind of already in here. And we'll convert this. This is basically the same thing, but it's, yeah. All right. Oh, we'll be able to check that off when we do it. But all right, so every faction has 500 whatevers for now. Then back to our original thing, I guess, is where we're finally back to that original thing that I started 2.5 hours ago. You wrap it around your neck. I've never heard of this thing. Neck fan. Oh, like that, huh? All right. Interesting. So the original thing we were doing was, we'll put a, well, we won't put a thing. I'll put a comment in. Resources. So what we wanted to do was at the beginning of the day, we wanted to copy the resources from the old resources to the new resources, and that was what all of this was for. So at the county level, I don't think that's actually where this should be. The county level is going to need it, but we also need this at the faction level. So we have this faction thing that we've barely done anything with. So end of day comes before start of day. We're going to go faction data, copy. Here we go. So we have that. Now we have a copy of it. And then we can't, so this is the problem, and I guess I should do this immediately. We can't close the, it's probably already on this list. Let's see. I'm almost positive it's on this list already. County info panel. This is what we got to do. This needs to be like pretty much right now. In fact, we'll just do it right now. Oh, you know what's crazy is I was messing around with something else. It's weird how often this happens. Last weekend I went through and added these signals to every single thing. And I think there's a better way to do it. I'll have to test it some more, but you can do this unhandled thing, and I think and maybe that's part of the issue. I wonder if I'm using that. Unhandled. We don't want it like this. Okay, so I'm not using it. I think I can use an unhandled click. I think that's the way to do it. So I'm using probably some sort of input. I think it's called, unput. That, I think it's this. Where is this? Player controls. I think I need to change this to unhandled. I think I need to change this to unhandled input. And then I wouldn't have to go, yeah. The end of the day comes before the start of the day. I know, it seems weird, uh, which causes other issues. Um, but yeah, the unhandled input. So this is like a weird byproduct of ChatGPT. ChatGPT was saying I should use unhandled input, and I was like, what the fuck is that? And it worked. I used it and it worked, and I was like, I've never even heard of this before. And then I looked it up, and I was like, oh, okay. So I guess what unhandled input is after everything else tries to use the input, which could be a mouse click, and if nothing does, then it goes to unhandled input, and you can just overwrite it like this. And I think that might solve some of my click-through issues. All right, though, that has nothing to do with what we're currently doing. It was just a thing. So faction generation, where were we at? We needed this thing to make a copy at the beginning of the day, which we did. But now we need to also make it so that our county population, our county info panel can be closed, because it cannot currently be closed. So let's take a look at this. I noticed that too, that my little box here is getting smaller and smaller. Pretty soon it's just going to be a little thing over here, because I use this less and less. So what I'm thinking, we'll put it like an X button. And I maybe over here could be nice, but I think at some point we might, we do have a thing over here. Maybe we'll put it over here on the left side for the Mac users, right? They won't be confused, they'll like it better. All of the Mac users that play video games. So what we're going to want to do here is add a button. And who the fuck knows where that thing is? And probably... where is it in Linux? Is it on the left-hand side? I haven't used Linux in a while. Long while. Let's put it on top, so it should be over here. X button. And I don't see it, though. So we'll put in here, we'll put an X. What the fuck is it doing up there? What does a lowercase x look like? Lowercase x actually looks better. So this needs to be inside something, though. We have like a margin control or something here. That's not. Oh, that's true. Yeah, you can pick different things. We want this to... but it's got to be in a different spot. It's a rectangle, too. So we should make it a square. This needs to be, there's an easier way to do this. That looks just so bad. This, we're going to put a minimum size on here. And we're going to go 50 maybe? Okay, not 50. How about 30 by 30? That looks awful. What happens if we put it over here? It's gone. Oh, because this margin container goes... No, it doesn't. Oh, wait, I think I see it. We don't want it there. There you go. Let all the heat. So that's a San Diego thing. Is just having. Why does this margin container go all the way out here? What the fuck? There we go. I think the right side looks a little bit better. San Diego thing is to just open all your doors if you don't have air conditioning, and it's usually there's enough of a breeze that it doesn't get horrible. Here in Portland, that doesn't work. You just melt. It's awful. Um, maybe that is the thing, that it is just like a. I could put a close button at the bottom too, except that there's those other things. I mean, we literally could do. Whoops. That didn't fuck anything up, so let's not. I meant to be on here. We could do it. Detect their OS. Alert. Oh, I just ignore those. Those I just ignore. They're pointless. It's not like GD script where it updates in real time. It just throws those things all the time. GD script is kind of interesting how it does that, because I messed around with just a little bit, and you're like typing away, and things are like going, things are happening. Oh, same with when I was messing with the shader. We'll leave it here, because we are going to have something here, but we'll leave it here temporarily. And then we're going to attach a script to this, or we can just connect a signal to this thing. So we're going to put a button on here. We don't need a button on there. We're going to put just somewhere in here, this big thing. I don't have enough stuff in here. We're going to have a private void on close on X button pressed, and then we're gonna go hide. That's it. Yeah. It's a nice feature. It's a nice feature when it does that. And then we'll do pressed the hider node. No. Can we go to source? No. I mean, we can go to the source, but it's not the one we wanted. And then we'll pick, oh, except I gotta, man, this thing is getting huge. So Unity it's all into mono behaviors, and I think that's part of the issues that I kind of have is like, and maybe I'm supposed to be doing this, but this script, everything would have its own little script on it. And so I have everything in here, but maybe I should be putting it in whatchamacallit, in its own little script. Okay, so we have a signal connected to there, like these ones, but these are all big things. The issue is I never can find the scripts, like where they're attached to. All right, so let's close this thing. Let's do this. We'll hope that thing. No, no, it would be nice though. What a weird quality of life, right? And then I can put in there and try to detect what their Linux GUI does. Okay, so that thing goes away. You click it, comes back. We're not getting any bugs. But what we need to do is on this, we need to update the faction stuff. It seems like it would be easy, but that's just a whole other thing that I'll wonder why I'm doing it too. Okay, so we need on the X button closing, we need to update the expendables. Let's redo this. Update faction expendables. And this is going to, come on, face. It was itchy. It was itchy and there was hair in the way. That was the county info control, wherever it is. And we're going to go top bar. Was that an instance? Update. It isn't. Oh, it is. So the problem with this, though, is I think we can get rid of this instance. Let's see if we can do that. Update. Update faction expendables. I think we can just make this static. We cannot because of those other things. All right. No, wait. No. Public static. Wait, can we? There, there used to be a website, and I'm sure it still exists. Yeah, I can't do that. Where it showed what your browser can pull, like what websites information can pull from you just going to them, and it was kind of interesting because I sent it. What is a public unstatic void? Because I sent it to my coworker who was very, very paranoid about the world, and I was kind of trying to explain to her that her paranoia was kind of pointless because they already have all your information. And yeah, she did not like the fact that how much information a website can pull from you just going to it. Like you move your mouse and it can keep track of everything. I could see her going to the dark web to try to like pretend like to try to get beyond like the thing, like beyond like that's a safe place to go. It would not have turned out how she wanted, but so this should now update our county or our faction level. Well, let's see. So this should be 500. Okay, so that's all 500. We go to here. See, that did not update. You know why this doesn't update? It's because 500 is wrong. 500 is right for these two. But these ones are going to have the wrong number regardless. These need to be counted from the county. And I think I probably have time to do that. So let's fix this thing. So there's two different things going wrong here. Faction generation needs to, where I added in 500, we actually need to do this differently. We just need to do this. This isn't going to, we need to faction data, faction resources, all enums, faction resource type, influence dot amount equals 500. And then we're going to get rid of this crap. We're going to copy this and we're going to put money. Okay. And then this, so this is going to show the faction level, or that's going to give us the, so those two things are not influenced by county. On the faction, when you're looking at the faction level, we want the math of all, oh my God, very stitchy. We're going to want all of the counties counted too. So this is right. This is 500 and 500. In fact, what we should also do though, while we're here, is we'll just like baby step this shit. Since I've been all over the place today, I'm finally getting warmed up. Luckily, I also can just, I'm almost done. it's a twofer. Okay, so this is going to update the expendables, but we also need to update that other number that's next to them. So what we would do here is we would take, I don't know what those labels were called. Yesterday's something. Did I not add them? Amount used. I called them amount used, which is weird, but nah, I guess it makes, no, it does make sense. Amount used dot text is going to equal something here. I'm going to put a 0 in temporarily. And then, well, that's not going to, influence in money dot text is going to equal, and once again, that has to be to, a 2x4 or just a 2-4. So this didn't, I should have just left that as whatever. do the math for the used resources from yesterday. Except I just thought of a problem. With this. So the idea is we would just want to see how much was used the day. I could use some beer actually. Yeah, maybe I had Thursday off, so it's like an extra weekend day. Maybe I should go get some beer. I haven't had any beer in a long time. The problem is now, like if I drink 2 beers, I get a hangover. So we need to do the math. So this is the problem. We take the copy, and then we need to do the math in the morning and save that math. So we need yesterday's, because otherwise it would fluctuate during the day as we clicked on things. And we don't want it to fluctuate. We want it to be set in stone. So I think what we're going to want to do here is we'll go into faction data, and we'll need another one of these actually, and we'll call this mount used. And then this will happen. So we're at a faction level here. So at this, we're going to copy resources, faction resources to yesterday. And then in here, this will do a deep copy. After this, we're going to do the math for amount used. So then I think what we would do is we would go for each so I got to think about, didn't I write this down? I did write it down. I've already lost it. So we have yesterday's and we subtract them from today's, and that's how much we used. We subtract today's from yesterday's, and that's how much we've used. Yes. Subtract today's from yesterday's, and that is how much we have used. All right, let's use an example. We have 100 influence. The next day we have 50. We subtract that. We have used 50. That's not going to work because that would give us a positive number. We would want a negative number. So we have today's, which is 50, and we subtract yesterday's, which is would give us a negative 50. So we have today, we subtract yesterday's from today's. Days from today's. No. The simplest math. We have 100 yesterday. Today we have 50. We subtract yesterday's from today's. That's what we want. Okay, so for each resource, faction resource data in this thing, for each faction resource data, faction resource in faction resources, we're gonna get this isn't gonna work because I need like a key value or some shit. This is the thing I need to, 100 yesterdays, 100 things, 100 amounts yesterday. Let's do, I never could remember this, so let's find, I do these all the time now, the for each in a dictionary. I know it's key value pair, so I can look up that. Key value pair. Here we go. And this is pretty close to what we want anyways. We can go to here. In faction resources. And we're going to go faction resource in faction. All right. So for each one of these, we're going to subtract yesterday's from today's. So we're going to go faction. Oh, we need this to, okay. So first off, we need amount used dot faction resource. All faction resources. Nope. Lies. Key value pair. Key dot amount equals faction resources key value whatever key amount minus yesterday's faction resources. Okay, so let's think. So we have the amount used faction resources amount, which is, it's going to change every day. The faction resources current amount minus what happened yesterday. So you can, if it was 50 and you have 100 today, it's going to go up. It's going to show that it went up 50. If you had 100 and it's 50 today, it's going to show that it went down 50. And that's what we want to see. Then back to this top thing. This is a lot of work. This is a lot of work to get the most simple shit to show up. I mean, I guess it's not that much work. Here, we're going to go faction data. Well, fuck you. Fuck you fingers. Faction data, faction resources, all faction, influence, nope, all enums. It's right above, it's literally right up here. Faction resources, influence, dot amount. This is wrong. Well, we got more issues. Amount. And this is going to be toString. And then we're going to copy this. We'll probably put this down so I can read the whole thing. And then this is going to go here. But this is going to be... What do I got going on here? This is going to go down here. And this is going to be money. Okay. So that's how much it should do the math when we do that copy, and it should update it. Now the problem is, no, we will get a little bit of influence. Money won't change. We will get a little bit of influence. So to test this each day, that could be bugged out. We're not quite to that part. And we're only testing the two, influence and whatever. We got a bug here. $90. I'm gonna guess I'm gonna guess that this doesn't exist yet. I initialized it, but oh, you know what? Um, in faction generation, we need to also create it. So here we need to also, we can just do this again. We're not making a copy of it. Well, I don't know why I'm trying to copy that. We can just go faction mount used or whatever it was. So that way we'll have both lists, and I'll put a note up here. Creates both lists. We don't want it to have yesterday's because it should get copied before anything happens. All right. I'm going to call it a day here soon. I feel like really took a long time to get my brain warmed up. But now that I'm there, you know, it's nap time already. Okay, so this is a 0 and a 0. That's working, except that that's not what I want that to look like. So let's fix that before. I actually want this to be like this. And we can get rid of this. There we go. I want these to be in parentheses, so. Okay. Then we'll do this. I don't think this is going to update, though, at the end of the day yet. Did we put that in there? I don't know if I put that in there. And I think we're going to get bugs, though. Oh, look at that. We got a problem. I forgot the squigs. It's funny when you see that in games, like finished games. You're like, what happened there? I guess they aren't finished if you see that. Yeah, that's their official name, is the squigs. That's what they tell me. Okay, so these are 0, 0, 0. That looks good. So like I said, I think we're gonna copy error. Handle is not initialized. Is this that weird bug that just happens every once in a while? I think it is. And I haven't figured out why it happens. Let's see if it happens every time. If it happens every time, then maybe we can figure out what's going on. And yeah, I don't know why that happens. I think we're going to get bugs, though, coming up here. Oh, I guess not. So we'll bump this up. We should get a little bit of influence at the end of the day. The problem is, well, we have a bug, but yeah, this is the one I was expecting more sooner. So I think the problem is this needs to be here. It needs to happen before the changes happen. Otherwise, I don't think it's going to ever. Oh, we got that thing's back again. Let's see if it goes away when I. Yeah, I don't know what that is. I don't think this is updating, though. Like, I don't think I have this. No, it is in there, I think. Oh, we got this thing again. Oh, that's the same. We might have to fix this before we can fix the other thing, but it should. Daily influence gain, yeah, so we should be getting some of that. Let's go back to this thing, though, and make sure that this is set to update. It is not. So we need to top control bar instance update expendables. I think I put that in there, yeah. But I still don't know if it's actually doing the math correctly. But I think that needs to be at the beginning of the end of day. See, this went up to 10, but this should have be a different amount. So there's something going wrong here. Let's double check update expendables. Amount used. The amount is in there. This amount is in there. Let's go back to our faction counting thing. Copy. So this is going to happen. The faction resources are duplicated to yesterday's resources. And then it goes through the faction resources. Which are identical at this point. But this is always going to be identical because we just made a fucking copy of it. So I think we need to move this down to here actually. But I think the problem we might have here is yesterday's resources are going to be empty at that point. So we might have to initialize them at 0, which isn't that big of a deal. Yeah, we have to do the math before we do the copy. Otherwise, it's always going to be the same. It still didn't work, though. Do the math for amount used. Subtract yesterday's from today. The first day we should have nothing. Make sure that these bugs are not. Oh, we have different bugs going on, so I think that's the problem. And this is going to say like yesterday's doesn't exist or something. Faction data, copy factions from yesterday at 48. So let's go back to our faction generation. Right here. We'll make a copy of this. We should, if we do it this way, we should have like a positive 500 from the first day. I think, because this is going to be 500. And it'll be like, whoa, we got so much on the first day. There it is. So that does work. We got a net 500 from the first day. So then the next day is at 0. I don't think that's right. The next day should be at negative. Oh, can an int not be signed or some shit? Let's see. C# int, negative int. Can I make an integer? I know. Yes, I can. Um. Because I use ints and -1 and other things. Integer type, every bit is associated. You know what we could do is, because it worked for the positive. Um, we can put in here just to make sure it's not some other issue. I think it's probably had something to do with my math here. Um, with my how I'm doing my math in the ints and stuff. But I can ask ChatGPT for that too. So this immediately bumps up to 500. And day here, amount used is 0. You know what? I wonder if we're not adding that 10 in to the right spot. But I'm going to call it a day. It's not very productive today, but that's okay. Some days, shit happens. But let's push this to copying resources. Had to create a yesterday list. You are welcome, Lord Mac. I'm pushing this. And thank you guys for dropping by. I will talk to you tomorrow, most likely. Have a good rest of your week.